The challenges that I faced in the emergency room, I realized are challenges that are faced all across corporate America. Lives are at stake in every emergency room across the country, and lives are at stake in every office in America. Because decisions that get made are either going to help people lead happy and productive lives or go to work and be in a job that they hate, angry, and dejected. There are multiple applications, multiple essay questions, multiple interviews. It's demanding. It's honestly sometimes demoralizing. But I did it. And the second time around, it worked. I was accepted to the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City 3 weeks before school started. I was 35 years old. I was 6 months pregnant, and I didn't have a husband. But that is a story that will clearly take longer than the 12 minutes I have been allocated. I speak about leadership, but more specifically, I speak about leadership lessons from the emergency room, based on my own experience as an emergency room doctor. Because every time I stepped onto that ER floor, I was leading a different team. The patients were different, the staff was different, the challenges were different, but the leadership principles remain the same. So some of the topics that I like to cover when I give my keynote are very simple, but make a huge difference. For instance, accept your role as the leader. Stay calm under pressure. Ask for help if you need it. Admit when you make a mistake. Learn how to give bad news. Value everyone on your team. And most importantly, speak to people in a language that they understand. So the strategies I've put together for you are designed to help you realize your impact as a leader and the impact that that has on morale and productivity. I learned about leadership on July 5th, 1991. I was a brand new medical doctor, on the job 5 days. I had just graduated from medical school. I mean brand new. So the shift started out okay. You know, the other doctors signed their patients over to us, and I had a long list of things to do. You know, patients needed x-rays and labs and blood work, and I was getting it all done. I was checking it all off my list. And somewhere around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, I actually started to breathe out. Wow, I said, I'm really doing it. Like this overnight thing, I'm really doing it. It's not so bad. It all came crashing down at 2 o'clock in the morning. My beeper went off. For those of you too young to remember, a beeper, never mind, Google it. Anyway, it was the nurse, and she was frantic. Dr. O'Malley, Mr. Green in room 702 is having chest pain. We need you to come right away. Now, if you've ever had a moment of panic, you know that instincts kick in right away. My instincts kicked in too, because I instinctively thought to check my list. Maybe he really wasn't even my patient. But there he was. And I found myself running down the hallway to get to his room. Now at 2 o'clock in the morning, hospital hallways are dark and deserted. And as I was running, I could hear my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum floor. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears. And a voice was screaming in my head, "This man needs a doctor." And then I realized, I am his doctor. So I gathered myself together and I walked into his room. And I saw a man sitting up in bed, rubbing his chest. Oh, he was clearly distressed. And there was a nurse standing by his side, and she didn't look very happy either. And there was an EKG machine on the other side of him. And so I quickly took a peek at a cheat sheet that I had stuck into my lab coat pocket. How to hook up a patient to the EKG machine. I put it back in and I went up to his bedside and I hooked him up and I ran that test. Now the test didn't show any sign of a heart attack, and that made me feel better right away. And I gave him a pill under his tongue designed to relieve chest pain, and that made him feel better. I would love to tell you that I left his room that night with a great sense of pride and accomplishment, but I didn't. I left with a sense of relief. But I learned a valuable lesson. I learned that I needed to be responsible for leadership. Because when I walked into his room, I knew that I needed to be responsible as a doctor. But it wasn't until I saw the nurse standing by his bedside, waiting for direction from me, that I realized that I needed to be responsible as a leader. Every industry can benefit from what I have to say. Not only corporate, entrepreneurs, small business owners, everyone, because we're all leaders. In the emergency room, I gave bad news to people on a pretty consistent basis. I was taught how to do it. As business leaders, you give bad news to people all the time. You actually give all kinds of news. You might not be the one who made that decision, but you might be the one who has to carry it out. Change, uncertainty, time management, and deadlines. And if I could learn these principles and be at my peak performance in the emergency room, I can teach you to do the same. Now, at the beginning of the talk, I told you a story about how I was running down a dark hallway feeling alone and scared. One day you may find yourself running down a hallway feeling alone and scared. I guarantee you there are people there to help you, and there is a team there to support you. And if you can stay calm under pressure and admit when you make a mistake, but most of all, treat people the way you would want to be treated, then I guarantee you that you will create an environment where people want to hang around. And that, my friends, is the best prescription you will ever get from a doctor. Thank you. Thank you.